Welcome to this video. In this session, we will talk about documentary collections, documents against payment. Documentary collection is a mechanism where banks as intermediaries facilitate exchange of documents in return for payment between the exporter and importer. The exporter submits the document, the importer has to pay to collect the document from the bank. It is a mechanism which is very cost effective compared to letters of credit. It carries higher risk compared to letters of credit. In this session, we will talk about the definitions, the features, the process flow, roles of the various parties, the risks, the mitigations available, and some real life examples. These key aspects will help us leverage the use of DP in our day-to-day trade. A documentary collection is a financial arrangement between the exporter, exporter's bank, importer's bank, and importer, wherein the documents are forwarded, the shipping documents, the bill of lading, invoice, etc., are forwarded to the importer's bank with a requested instruction to deliver these to the importer against payment. The documents are released only against payment. These are governed by Uniform Rules for Collections URC 522, and these are different from DA, documents against acceptance. In a DA, documents are released against acceptance. In a DP, documents are released against payment. And thereby, in a DP, there is a control over the documents. And if the documents are documents to title, if the documents have control over the shipment, then it is very effective because it will ensure payment by the importer to the exporter. In a DA, the payment is deferred until the due date, which is maybe 60 days or 90 days from shipment, etc. So there is a little bit of heightened risk in a comparative way. Let us look at the various features and roles of the parties. Documents against payment offers several key characteristics which are beneficial to the exporter. Banks are acting as intermediaries. They will ensure the transfer of document against transfer of payment, that is collection of the amount due. It is cost effective and it makes suitable, or it becomes suitable for low risk transactions because exporters control the documents until payment is made. In a documentary collection, the exporter is called the principal and all the banks act on the instructions and in the interest of the principal. But the DP does not guarantee payment. It means what? If the importer is not willing to collect the document, then the importer may not be willing to pay and then the goods may rot at the destination port. For the exporter, this ensures payment as long as the fact that documents are necessary by the importer and they will get it released by paying. So this is not just on the trust or ability of the importer, but on the insistence that documents will be released by the bank to the importer against payment. For the importer, this is better because they do not pay as much cost as a letter of credit transaction. They will gain access to the document only against payment. Till that moment they want control over the document, they can delay the payment. And it will also ensure these documents evidence movement of goods, and so there is an evidence of performance or shipment. The role of the bank. Banks act as intermediaries. They ensure safe transfer of documents. They ensure collection of payment. It is cost effective because letters of credit are comparatively more costly. At the same time, open account is less costly compared to a documentary collection. The exporters retain control over the shipping documents until payment is received. So the exporter has a control. So exporters retaining control and the payment is given by the importer only when documents are cited. These are the benefits that the parties get in this transaction. When to use a documentary collection? The characteristic of the documentary collection is there is no guarantee of payment, and there is a dependency on importer's willingness to pay, and there is no independent underlying contract. These are the main characteristics of a DP. So this being so, when do we use documentary collections? DP is best suited for low risk transactions. When the trade between the partners are well established, but they do not prefer LC because it is more costly, then documentary collection can be used. These are used in sectors where the documents are pretty standard, the BL, the invoice, the certificate of origin, the packing list, whatever you normally need to have to collect the documents that are pretty standard. And then this balances, the DP collection balances the cost effectiveness versus risk mitigation. It reasonably mitigates the risk at a reasonable cost. It simplifies the payment process because bank will collect and remit the payment, and it ensures the security for the parties because for the importer the documents have reached their bank, for the exporter documents will be released only against payment, and the documents are having control over the title for the goods. But this requires a reasonable amount of trust that the importer will in fact pay and collect the documents. This needs a good relationship between the buyer and seller. That is why, unless the relationship between the partners are well established, DP may not be successful method of payment. So suitable for well established relationships, that is a low risk transaction. Cost constraint, whenever you are finding DC, documentary credit, as a costly exercise, then DP documentary collection can be used. It's an economical option. And then when there is a standardized process between the parties and the documentary requirement, then DP could be a reliable method. The benefit for the exporter being ensures payment, reduces reliance on trust, and for the importer avoids high cost and provides access to the documents. Let us look at the process flow. The process flow for a documentary collection involves the order is placed by the buyer, the exporter seller ships the goods, they present the documents to the bank, the importer's bank presents the document to the importer, importer pays and collects the document, importer collects the goods from the shipping agents or the port. So it has several steps. First the order is placed, then the goods are shipped, then the documents are presented, and then payment is collected and document released. The documents need to have control and title over the goods. Only then the importer will be willing to pay and collect the documents so as to get the goods. The bank that acts on behalf of the supplier or the exporter is called the remitting bank. The bank that acts on behalf of the importer or the buyer is called the collecting bank because they collect the proceeds or the payment. The instruction will be to release the documents only against payment. When the collecting bank notifies the importer, they will arrange for funds and they will collect as soon as possible so that when the goods reach the port, they will have the documents to release the goods. The collecting bank transfers the money to the remitting bank, who in turn settle the exporter. This is the process flow of a documentary collection. What if the importer doesn't pay? If the importer doesn't pay, the documents will not be released and the documents will have to be ultimately returned by the collecting bank to the remitting bank and given it back to the exporter. If it is a perishable goods, you lose. If it is some other goods, exporter will have to find an alternative buyer. What are the roles and responsibilities of the parties? The exporter is required to prepare the documents as agreed in the underlying contract, which will evidence shipment as per the contract. They will have to submit the documents to the bank well in time so that it reaches the importer's bank before the goods reach, so that there is no demurrage. What is their right? They have right or title over the control over the documents, that is the goods, till the payment is made. Their duty is to ensure the documents are accurate and complete so that customs clearance is becoming easy, and their duty is to comply with the sales contract and uniform rules for collection. What's the role of the buyer? The buyer or the importer have to receive, the moment they receive the notification of the arrival of the documents, arrange for payment, pay and collect the documents. They have to pay in full. What right do they have? They have right to access the copy of the documents before payment and original documents after the payment. What is their duty? The duty of the importer is to ensure sufficient funds are available to pay and to take possession of the documents and in turn the goods. The exporter's bank or the remitting bank acts as an intermediary, and they act as per uniform rules for collection and charge some fees for their services. They follow exporter's instructions. They ensure transfer of documents. They will instruct the collecting bank. The collecting bank or the importer's bank holds the shipping documents until payment is made. They notify the importer the moment documents arrive. They hold the documents till the payment is made, and they release the documents upon payment, and they remit the money to the remitting bank. They also have a right to collect some fees for their charges. They will verify that the payment is as per the collection order received. So this is the process flow on the roles and responsibilities of the parties in a DP. Now let us turn our attention to risks and mitigation strategies. For exporters, the risk is non-payment risk and political and economic risk, that is instability of the importer's country, non-availability of the currency, non-availability of the banking system to remit, etc. And comes the documentation errors. If the documents are incorrect or incomplete, it may lead to rejection, because in importer's country they may not be acceptable for releasing the goods. For importers, quality risk. The importer may receive the goods that may not meet the agreed specification. Logistical delays, delay in the shipment or delay in documents arrival could cause demurrage or other damages. What's the mitigation? Mitigation is only thorough due diligence before agreeing upon documentary collection as a payment method, and standardization and uniformity in the documents that are required or called for to be presented under the documentary collection mechanism. Another way is to ensure the shipments for non-payment risk through export credit insurance. For the importer, quality or inspection certificates can be called for as a document to be presented under the sales contract, and they can work with the trusted banks to ensure smooth processing. So risk assessment of the parties, creditworthiness of the parties, because the payment is from the importer and not to the importer's bank. Likewise, whether the exporter will ship and provide proper documents or not, that also is something that needs to be pre-checked. And then arranging for insurance. These are some of the mitigates to ensure that the goods are of reliable quality, the party is of having ability to pay, and the exporter has an performance capabilities or performance history to avoid logistics or quality issues. Let us look at a case study. Now suppose there is an Indian textile exporter who is selling garments to a US based retailer under a documentary collection DP program. The exporter will ship the goods and submit the documents to their bank. The documents will be forwarded to the importer's bank called collecting bank in US. The importer or the buyer will pay the full amount and receive the document. Now when the garments are shipped, garments should have adequate quality, so the quality certificate should ensure that. It should be shipped in time. The BL should ensure evidence that this will be presented to their bank, who will act professionally and in time so that the documents reach the collecting bank well in time without creating any demurrage issues, and the instructions are clear and complete. The collecting bank will notify the importer. The importer should be having adequate liquidity so that they can pay for the goods, and upon payment the shipping document will be released so that they can collect the goods from the port, that is take delivery. The outcome is that exporter receives payment, importer receives the documents against payment without paying additional fees like that of an LC, at the same time ensuring quality certificate or shipment on time and things like that. So the role of the bank is to forward the document if you are a remitting bank, notify the importer and collect the payment if you are a collecting bank. What are the other mechanisms that are available? Compared to letters of credit, DP is less secure but more affordable. Compared to open account is more flexible. Comparing to factoring, factoring provides immediate cash flow, or forfeiting provides immediate cash flow but at higher cost, that is, a interest payment is involved. Each method of payment suits a different scenario or a different requirement of the buyer-seller combination based on their risk tolerance and cost considerations. Documentary collection DP is a middle ground. It seeks to ensure balance between security and affordability in international trade. So documentary collection is a medium security while LC is of high security. Documentary collection is a medium cost while LC is of high cost. And the documentary collection is medium flexibility while LC is of low flexibility. And if you are looking for a lot of flexibility, you will go for open account, but it will have the least security. So these are the comparison of various payment methods as vis-a-vis the documentary collection DP. So to conclude, DP offers practical and cost-effective solution, balancing security, affordability, that is lower cost compared to letter of credit, higher security compared to open account. And by understanding this process flow, the parties can manage the risk, mitigate the issues that they may face by calling for certain conditions or documents, and effectively facilitate seamless transaction. Thanks for watching this video. We will catch up again in the next session on DA.